Hey, everybody, welcome back. Okay, hey, welcome back in for our 4th of July episode 2019 here on Two Fat Drunks on JDV.
I'm Bob.
I'm Warpin.
All right, so on this episode, we're going to talk about one of the great movies of all time that you should see for the 4th of July, and that would be Mel Gibson in Roland Emmerich's
The Patriot.
The Patriot.
The Patriot.
That's right, The Patriot. Coming up!
No!
Stuff. Hey, thanks for joining us for another episode here at Two Fat Drunks. Thanks, Bob. Bob's our DP,
Yes.
and we just
Director
did a
of photography.
commentary for our 5th movie, Five Must Die.
See how that worked out?
So
I never noticed that before. Our 5th movie was Five Must Die.
yeah, that's right. It's just kind of like
It's
this. Okay,
numerology.
so right off the bat, a shout out to Josh and Casey from Source Point Press for joining us for our last 2 episodes on
Thanks,
The Exorcist and Rotten Tail. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. So 4th of July is now less than a week away as we shoot this. And we've done, I think, at least one other 4th of July themed show, but I thought we'd talk a little bit about one of the great ones, I think, is The Patriot.
Very controversial.
Starring,
And
So
it's
it's
big.
like, yeah, I mean, it's
Mel
historically based. I mean, I think it's a good movie.
Ledger is in that film.
Yeah, that was one of his
Heath
pre-Joker,
Ledger, yes.
obviously.
That was I think
It
that's
was like a
his
teen heartthrob at that
first
point.
kind of big breakout movie. Now he's in a. Is he in First Night or another kind of like?
Yes, you're right
is
about
it?
that. When is it first night?
don't know if it's
Some
or-
other like
Some
Arthur
other
Video.
Knight's Tale?
Yep.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
But I
Yeah,
don't know
Knight's
what
Tale.
came out first. Knight's Tale.
First night
I think
was
first Knight's
Sean
Tale.
Connery and Richard Gere.
Yes.
Yeah,
But this is helped to establish Heath Ledger as a
legit.
legitimate
Right.
movie actor.
Yeah, because he's not blown off the screen by Mel Gibson.
It's right, and it's Mel Gibson. I think it's the first movie Mel did after Braveheart.
Yeah.
Now he did not direct
you're
the
right
film.
about
It is directed by the same guy who directed Independence Day and
Roland
Godzilla.
Emmerich.
Roland
Stargate.
Emmerich, that's right. And for some reason,
Sorry. That was
and he also did Stargate.
Again.
And it's an interesting film for a lot of reasons. That time in history, the revolutionary time period of the United States is a very underdeveloped part of
like film.
Hollywood
Yeah.
lore. There's just not a lot of movies made during that time.
No.
Like there's no definitive George Washington film. I don't
Not
know.
really.
No, there
So other
is.
than the History Channel's documentary about it.
And it really, if you get outside of the Walt Disney made, because he did make a lot of Patriot-based for Revolutionary War era type things. Like Alvin Costello did a few movies. But, I mean,
1776.
But
remember
really,
that?
I mean, you're
The
going all
music.
the way
Yeah.
back to what? Northwest Passage with Spencer Tracy?
Yeah, I mean,
you're talking 1930s
yeah,
here.
there's not. And there's certainly a real dearth of movies in the last 30
And
years.
Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, Last of the yeah, but even Last of the Mohicans is probably the
It was pre-revolutionary.
I believe so. Yeah, that was British occupation, right?
So not a whole lot of movies made about that time period, and this movie does a decent job of kind of weaving in some history.
Is it historically accurate though? I think that was one of the.
Yeah, it actually
The,
is. The way they portray the militia, how George Washington used.
But
the
does it
militia.
follow actual events? Like
Yeah, it
history?
does.
There are certainly massacres involved.
And it does. Yeah, the guy who was the British villain.
Jason
Right.
Isaac.
Jason Isaac,
Yeah.
He's on
who's a
Who plays,
fantastic. He's on Star Trek right now.
Malfoy's father in
And the Harry
Draco. What's his last name? Lucius Malfoy in the Harry Potter series was Jason Isaac. So great villain.
He's like, tell me more about Ohio. He's just he's so evil.
Yeah, very British.
The
very
costumes
sinister.
are fantastic. The music by John Williams is probably arguably the last great score that John Williams did is for The Patriot. It has a great soundtrack. The battle scenes,
very brutal.
very brutal, right?
Very
They kind of it's sort of like the last of the
That's
90s era
Mel
big
Gibson,
budget.
visceral,
Yeah.
right? Passion of the Christ style. Wow, that's visceral. That's very grisly.
and yet still mainstream.
And there was a controversy at the time, as I recall,
Errol?
because of a specific scene where Mel Gibson goes out with two of his very young sons.
And kills a boatload of British soldiers.
Yeah, instructs his sons to shoot the officers, and they do so.
Aim small, miss small.
Right, exactly. And so it was only controversial to the extent that it offended some people, their sensibilities, to have children shooting adults. But I think in the context of a war situation where they were, in fact, trying to free a family member, certainly less controversial for some people.
That's actually a great scene in that film.
A fantastic scene.
It really is a beautifully shot. The score, the violence, it's all, and it all makes it's all justified. And it really is Mel Gibson, maybe at his very peak as an actor.
Right before it all went south.
Yeah, well, I mean, he still retains his ability as a director.
Certainly, but I mean,
because he would do Apocalypto after he's remember he didn't direct.
He did do Apocalypto afterwards,
but as a bankable action
star. As a bankable action star, it was his last film.
Yeah,
and there's a lot there. The music, everything. You know, it's maybe a little long. You could probably chop 20 minutes of that film and not lose a lot. So it's not a perfect film. It does drag on a bit. There are some historical inaccuracies, to be sure. It's not 100%. But I think it gets enough of the spirit of the time.
Yeah.
The spirit, certainly, yeah.
It does get
and everyone is dressed the part. I mean, that is one element.
Well, they spend
really capture.
The money is on the screen. I mean,
the
effects are fantastic. The cast is fantastic.
Right.
The music's fantastic. Costumes are fantastic. I mean, all the things that you want in a big Roland Emmerich type movie.
All there.
And what's funny is that I don't know that he's really. That was kind of his, not quite his swan song, but I mean. Because Independence
film you've seen since then.
Right, well, I saw Independence Day.
The Day After Tomorrow. Did he do that one?
Yeah, he might.
No, some
earthquake
or 20.
He might be
2012.
2012.
It was
2012.
Something.
But it just got
another
more
John
and more
Cusack.
comedic, right? Oh God.
So yeah, if you haven't seen The Patriot, that'd be something that you might want to throw on your little drive-in movie.
4th of July, you can't get any more patriotic, or can you?
Can you? No, it's pretty good. So our next episode is going to be about underrated sci-fi, and I'd say that this is it's definitely an underrated film. It's a movie. I don't know if they show it on TV anymore. They used to show it, I think, on TBS or TNT quite a bit.
I haven't seen it lately on
but I
TV.
don't think
Yeah.
they
Now,
show it a
if
lot.
you want to include something that
Go on.
might be a little bit different, but it will definitely capture the patriotic spirit. And you'll have to go back a little bit for it. But if I could recommend a film that will make you feel patriotism in your soul, it would have to be Sgt York.
Deep Throat.
No, they wouldn't feel it in your soul.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sgt York with Gary Cooper is probably, it's got to be one of the most patriotic films you'll ever see in terms of presenting an old school version of America that you just watch the film and go, yeah, I guess I would do that after all. And it also covers a war that you simply don't see that much about these days, and that'd be World War One.
No, there's just not a lot of good World War I movies.
And it follows a real person, Sergeant Alvin York, from the Valley of the Three Wolves in Tennessee. I mean, some kind of far-off place. But he just ends up being a smoking good rifleman, goes over to Germany in World War One, and just commenced smoking Germans. And
he's a pacifist, isn't it?
He's conscientious objector for religious reasons, and this is all legit. He actually was that way in the film. And the part of the film shows him struggling with that and the efforts of his commanding officers to bring him around to their way of thinking.
Gary Cooper, one of the great underrated for right now actors. And I'll give you another one, but kind of based in, again, slightly before the Revolutionary War. I believe it's called The Unconquerable.
Oh, give it to me.
It's another Gary Cooper movie that actually involves one of the elements is that slavery existed, of course, in America, but also slavery of white people existed actually early on. You could be sold into slavery in England, even if you were white, if you owned debt. And so it kind of follows the story of this woman who comes to Americas as a slave and eventually encounters Gary Cooper, who frees her from slavery. It's a hard movie to find. Just
So what's the title again?
I think it's the Unconquerable or the
Unconquerable or
So,
Unconquerable.
yeah,
All
it's
right.
a very rare kind of movie. But yeah, that's another one with Gary Cooper. That'd be any high noon. Any movie with Gary Cooper.
You got Gary Cooper. You're halfway there. So.
All right, so hey, our short film Teddy Bear is moving along. It's at the rough cut stage now, so we are making some progress on that, and we are going to be shooting our 6th film coming up in the fall. It has yet to be untitled, although I have been toying with the idea of a film called The Devil Screams at Midnight, because it sounds like a very 70s era.
Yeah,
but
Hammer movie.
yeah, I kind of want to have that kind of
Die,
theme.
Blackula, die.
So if you like this, please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification button. Love each other, and until next time.
Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.